All right, so let's get started. Welcome back, everybody, to Dribble and Drive. I'm Jack.
I'm Anthony.
And yeah, we're back. Lots of hoops to talk about today, but we'll kick it off with some NFL. We got the Super Bowl in 6 days on Sunday. So, I think we're both probably thinking the same thing. I think everyone's probably thinking the same thing. Like, the Eagles, they have the better roster, but I trust Reed and Mahomes. I'm taking the Chiefs, especially at like minus 130. I think the line's at right now. So, yeah, best believe I'm taking that. I'm taking the Chiefs at minus 130.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you. I think that the Chiefs should be favorites in this game. How can you bet against Mahomes? But I was also gonna bring up, like, has your thought process changed at all within the past week since the games last week? Have you?
I wouldn't say so, no. I'm still like, the Eagles have the better roster. They have Saquon, the offensive line, the dominant defense. I think personnel-wise, they're better than the Chiefs. I think they have the better defense. They run the ball better. They're statistically better. But situationally, Kansas City's always better. Like, Buffalo was better statistically this year. Baltimore was better statistically this year. Detroit. So many teams have been better statistically than the Chiefs and look better than the Chiefs all season. But the Chiefs are always the best. And that's what's been the past 3 years. I'm taking the Chiefs. Nothing's really changed for me.
Yeah, not much in my mind's really changed.
The only thing I am worried about is that so many people... I've looked at the lines and it looks like most people are betting on Philly. I don't even believe it. I'm kind of like...
And you talk to most people, too, and they're like, who do I think's going to win or who do I want to win?
And that's a huge difference.
Yeah.
Because everybody thinks Casey's going to win. Everybody wants Philly to win. But, like you said, when you talk to people, everybody seems like they think Kansas City's going to win. They'd rather bet on Kansas City. I haven't really met anybody who really thinks and is going to bet on Philly. It seems like the general consensus. And that's what I'm kind of nervous about is too many people betting on Kansas City. But like I said, when you look at like DraftKings, you look at the lines, the percentage of bets, looks like a lot of people are betting on Philly.
Yeah.
It's kind of confusing because you don't get that when you're talking to people.
Yeah, and this game's going to be played in a dome. It's two teams that play cold weather. They played through the cold weather to get there. So
Facts.
I don't think that's really going to have much of a effect on the game.
Definitely not.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think like if you get down there in a one-score game in the fourth quarter, late third quarter with the Chiefs, you don't want to be playing that game.
No, absolutely not. And chances are you're going to be in that game because they don't blow people out. They haven't all season. They win games situationally. They run the ball. They don't run it like Saquon does, but they run it effectively. They pick up those third downs. Mahomes, how he's always done it. He finds Kelsey. He finds somebody. He's finding Juju Smith-Schuster, Xavier Worthy, Kareem Hunt. Like, it's Mahomes. It's Reed. I don't care about the personnel. Obviously, the Eagles are better.
I think the Eagles' path to winning this game is they're just going to have to run the football
very well.
And I think you'll have an idea of how well they're going to be able to do that in the first drive or two.
I really think so too.
I think that's going to set the tone for the day. Like if they go out there and the Chiefs stop them in 2 series or go 3 and out, I'd be like, oh, that's not what you want to see. Where, if they go right down the field like they did in that Commanders game, obviously they didn't the first drive, just one play.
That second drive though.
But the second drive, they were methodical about it. So that's going to be my telltale sign of how the game's gonna go. I think.
Absolutely. In that Commanders game, we kind of got a feeling all right, Washington may stay in this, but Philly's looking kind of dominant. So I think that's probably how it's gonna go if the Eagles can win. I agree. Do I think it's gonna happen? No. I think Saquon may bounce a few really, really good runs off even early, but I don't see Saquon taking control of this game because on the other side of the field is Mahomes, and no matter how good this Eagles defense is, nobody can stop Mahomes. The Eagles' defense was so good a few years ago when they played the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, but I think Mahomes dropped 36.
Yeah.
With Kadarius Toney and Juju. It's the same thing. I'm not worried.
I know. I wouldn't be surprised if you see Juju have a big game for some reason. Just for some reason.
Who else is going to have the big game? Wash DeAndre Hopkins, rookie Xavier Worthy.
Kelsey hasn't done a ton.
Kelsey has not done a ton. He's out of his prime for sure.
Xavier Worthy, though, that's going to be there. If he can rip off a big play, that could be
100%
huge for him.
Pacheco and Kareem Hunt in the backfield. It's not a star-studded duo, But it's a solid duo that's got the job done.
Yeah, I know they were getting banged up, but they'll probably be good to go, I think,
Absolutely.
come next week.
So yeah, I think we're both going with the Chiefs. Again, I trust Reed, Spags, Mahomes, Kelsey, the refs. I trust them more than Sirianni, Hurts, Kellen Moore. Although I do like Vic Fangio, I trust the Chiefs. And I think everybody for the most part agrees.
This is the kind of game too, I think, that can break a franchise. Like say the Eagles lose, and this is the second time losing to the Chiefs in the Super Bowl in 3 years, and they came back with a supposedly better and more squad with more firepower, and they still weren't able to get the job done. Like, I think that's kind of when you'll start to hear maybe rumblings of guys like A.J. Brown wanting out.
Absolutely, because where do you go from here? Like, you've made the Super Bowl twice.
You have the best offensive line in the league.
The best defense in the league.
One of the best running backs.
Like, it's insane. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert. Jalen Hurts is a guy that you paid the most money that you can pay a quarterback. Like, this is it. This is the roster.
Yeah. I mean, if they lose a game where their defense gives up 30-something, 40 points, I think you can live with that. But if you lose a game where the Eagles put up like 20 points, like 17,
Jalen Hurts doesn't come through and win the game for you, it's troubling. It's definitely troublesome because, like I said, where do you go from there? Like, can you get better?
Yeah.
Can you get better than this Eagles team without changing the coach, the quarterback?
And we don't know the contracts, like, to do with all the individual players, but I'm sure they kind of went all in this season.
They definitely did. They definitely did. I mean, who else? This roster is stacked.
Yeah.
It can't get much better. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I think we both agree on this.
Did you watch any of the Pro Bowl?
I didn't. No,
I didn't either. That is such a joke. They need to get rid of that.
I've been so sick of that for years. They need to get rid of that or find something. I mean, we have Russell Wilson playing in the Pro Bowl. Remember when the Pro Bowl was like
Sam Darnold, Teron Huntley, like
this is terrible. I mean. And there's no hope for it. Like, there's no potential. Like, everybody knows this is coming every year.
Yeah.
Nobody cares about it. I don't know. You got to do something fun. Even if, like, because obviously players aren't going to want to get injured. I don't blame them. I don't know what the solution is. Do you have any ideas?
It's got to be the worst all-star game out of all the major sports. It's got to be the least interesting all-star game. Like, by far.
It has to be. Like basketball, you can do the 3-point contest, even the dunk contest. Even players don't even want to get injured for the dunk contest. You think they're going to play football?
Yeah.
No. Those accuracy competitions, like skill competitions, I think are their only hope. I don't know anything I'm going to watch.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's kind of cooked, but
also, you see Garrett requested a trade from the Browns.
I was just going to mention that. Where do you think he can go? I think there's a few teams I like. I like the Packers.
I really haven't thought about like where he could go, but I'm honestly surprised it's taken this long for him to kind of like. I know they were trying to contend this year, but they went through a long period of just like being terrible, and he stuck by them, and now they're somewhat decent compared to what they used to be, and. He's kind of just like, hey, my time here is done, I think.
Yeah, and I don't blame him because, I mean, they've screwed up this operation. They had a beautiful set of players. They had Baker Mayfield, a good offensive line, Nick Chubb, and a great defense led by Myles Garrett. All you really needed was, like, a few receivers, a good offensive coordinator, and this is a Super Bowl team based on the way Baker's looked in Tampa. Obviously, he didn't look that great, but they gave up on Baker when he was injured. He had like a torn rotator cuff in his right arm the season they were judging him on. I remember that Christmas game where he threw like 4 picks. Everybody was like, oh, Baker's awful. He's terrible. And, I mean, I get it from a pure fan's perspective, but he was injured. The Browns front office needs to know that. He's brought you playoff success. He brought you your first playoff win in like 20 years. Brings you out of that drought, and you get rid of him for Deshaun Watson. It's abysmal. And I mean, I liked the move to sign Watson, but you got to make it work. You're responsible for that if you're Andrew Berry.
Before the age of 30, Myles Garrett has the second most sacks in the league and has been, Defensive Player of the Year in 2023, 14 sacks in 2024. And, yeah, just like crazy numbers. Like, this guy's, like, seriously a defensive player of the year. I'm surprised he honestly hasn't won one before.
Exactly.
It's like,
he's 100% a decoy, regardless of the lack of accolades. I mean, you've got guys like Micah Parsons, Max Crosby, TJ Watt, all these guys. Myles Garrett is probably the best out of all of them.
yeah, like, when you're talking about, like, JJ Watt, Aaron Donald,
Yep.
you could throw him in this conversation.
Absolutely.
Like,
Absolutely. So, I mean, teams that like the Packers who, are really a dominant pass rusher away. If the Packers add Myles Garrett and get the expected progression from guys like Jordan Love, make the right additions on offense, that's a Super Bowl team. Because the defense was already good, like a top 10, top 15 defense. But if you throw Myles Garrett on that squad, that's a top 5 defense. And maybe the offense is top 5 if you get the right progression from Love.
Yeah.
The Bills, I think that's a team who could throw some picks and capitalize on this Josh Allen window. The defense was really mid this past year.
Do the Lions have money?
I think they do have decent money. They do have Aiden Hutchinson.
I guess he kind of fills that role. I was going to say.
You could add Garrett, though.
They did have injury issues, so that's probably why I think their defense is weak.
They were in Max Crosby rumors all year too, so it's always possible.
Yes.
Yeah, they were injured all season. So
is he still kind of on the block too, Max Crosby?
He's got to be, right? I mean, new ownership, new head coach Pete Carroll, new GM.
Maybe there's not as much of a market for it as we think because like there's a plethora of guys available at the position.
There is. The Chargers, Khalil Mack's a free agent. That's something to mention.
Yeah.
It was a top 3 scoring defense in the NFL all year. You losing Khalil Mack, you got to make a replacement for that. I think Myles Garrett's at age 29. He's not the youngest, but the Bills, 100%. I like the Packers, the Bills.
Like he would be the key star player on that defense.
Myles Garrett is the key to a top 5 defense. If you want a top 5 defense, the Chiefs and Eagles are a top 5 defense. The 49ers and Chiefs last year, top 5 defenses. For that, the Eagles and Chiefs, top 5 defenses get you to Super Bowls. And Myles Garrett is a top 5 defensive anchor.
He's a guy who's been able to stay healthy most of his career.
Mm-hmm.
It'll probably just take a while for him to be traded because Cleveland will probably demand a lot.
That's true. 3 first-round picks, maybe. I don't know if a lot of teams are going to be willing to give up that. I think the Packers, though, could give up 2 firsts and a player. Yeah. I think they could, and I think it'd be worth it. I think the Commanders could. The Bills, I think it's worth it. The Bears, they have a lot of cap space. They could do it.
What if they give up Garrett and move up in the draft?
The Browns, I mean, they should. I don't know if anyone would give up a top 5 pick.
Like, what if they be like, oh, Shadir's our guy? Like, what if they said that?
And the Titans would be willing to give up that pick?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not Shadir, but I don't know.
Yeah, Cam Ward or something.
Throw it in a deal. Maybe somebody's falling and they can grab him at 10.
Absolutely.
Like Shadir at 10 or something. I don't know.
And so one thing I wanted to say was that, I mean, a team like the Bears or the Commanders, they have a quarterback on a rookie deal. Maybe they could give up some stuff to, take advantage of that window where you're not paying the quarterback, form a top 5 defense, and do it. But like what you were saying with the draft, maybe a team like the Titans is like, I'd rather Myles Garrett than Abdul Carter. Maybe the Browns take Abdul Carter.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Would you be willing to give up a top 5 pick in this draft for Myles Garrett?
Yeah.
You would. I look, would too. The only thing is he's 29.
He's got 2 years on his contract.
Yeah, so you want him to stay. You're going to have to, entice him to stay.
Yeah.
I like the Packers. I like the Bills, Commanders, Bears, Chargers, Panthers. Maybe the Vikings or Broncos or Colts could make a move. I see a big market.
Maybe the God only knows. Maybe the Buccaneers,
Absolutely.
I can see a lot of teams in conferences that don't have a clear number 1 team being like, hey, let's roll the dice here.
Exactly. 100%.
Like that NFC South, like you were saying, the Panthers, the Falcons definitely don't have money for it, but the Panthers,
they definitely
Buccaneers. Who's the other team in that division there? The Saints. They definitely don't have money.
They don't. The Saints are in cap hell from that. You remember that when they were breaking the cap?
Yeah.
Yeah, that worked out great for them. But hey, shout out Sean Payton because look where he's at now. It's worked out well for him.
The Broncos.
They've got Nick Benito. Maybe they could add to that.
I think this is a guy that's on the table for like 2/3 of the league. Like, if you're not rebuilding, I could see like, hey, like
a team
we're gonna pick up the phone and see what it takes.
Exactly, because I mean, these teams. If you add Garrett, do you automatically become a Super Bowl contender or very close to it? I think you can.
I mean, he fills a lot of holes,
right?
Like he can cover for. He shoots the gap. He can cover for linebackers. He can play almost two players as one on the sideline.
Right.
Like it's like
he's Aaron Donald level.
Yeah.
And I mean, you give up first for him. I don't know if it's 3 first-round picks, but if you give
just
up
because of his age, because he's almost 30.
Oh, if he's 25, you might give up 4 first-round picks. But he's 29 years old.
Yeah.
That's a thing. It's very, very worth mentioning. But, I mean, like I said, I do think there are some very good teams that, you know, like you said, the Packers, Bills, like these are teams that could really elevate from this edition. They're not rebuilding. They're trying to get a Super Bowl. Commanders, Bears. I think there's a few teams that fit. But yeah, anything else for the NFL? I don't think there's much.
Not at the moment. I'm sure there's going to be some stuff coming out soon.
100%.
Especially once the Super Bowl. We'll have a lot to talk about next week.
Absolutely.
So, you heard it here, Chiefs. We're picking the Chiefs.
Oh, yeah. We're picking the Chiefs. We're both picking the Chiefs. But, yeah, going on to the NBA. There's some stuff to talk about. De'Aaron Fox was just traded to the Spurs.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I think we got to talk about this first.
We got to talk about the Luka trade.
Yeah.
We got to talk about the Luka trade. What are your first opinions on it?
At first, my reaction was it wasn't real when I first got it. Like, I was on the phone on FaceTime with someone. And they were like, yo, like, absolute shams bomb right now. Like, you know, like, Luka for AD. And I'm like, shut up. Like, I was like, just stop. Like, that's not, like, what
it's
are you
a 2K
talking
trade.
about? Yeah. And then, I don't know. But the more I look at it now, I think it is honestly a solid trade for both sides. Both sides kind of get what they wanted and needed. You know, last year, Dallas got absolutely smoked by Kristaps Porzingis down low.
Yeah.
And I think they were like, hey, we need a real center. And if you're going to trade Luka, I think the only guys you would really want in return are like AD, Giannis, like Wemby, like guys like that. You know what I mean? And so I think they were like, hey, you know what? If Luka, he's gained 40 pounds since joining the league. He got injured this year, and his injury this year, I think the Mavericks are saying, no, this wasn't just a freak injury. This is because you're conditioning, you're out of shape, you're not in the best condition. So I think they were like, hey, we don't want to pay this guy the biggest contract ever, and we would rather trade him to the Lakers, get what we can in this title window we have right now, which I honestly don't think it's going to be enough.
Yeah.
Like, relying on Clay. I think he's kind of just the like Kyrie and AD will definitely get you to the second round, but I don't know.
But past that?
Yeah.
But that is a good floor. Kyrie, AD, you got guys like PJ Washington, Lively, Gafford.
I mean, Lively and Kleber were their centers, and those guys are like 6'9".
Yeah.
Like, they needed a guy who could hold down the paint. So, and the Lakers get someone who they had no picks, really. They had like one in 2029, which they gave up in this now. But they had like no picks, no future, really. They had a few young prospects, but then they were able to swap like a championship team that hasn't really shown anything in 3 years for an MVP candidate. You kind of do that 7 days out of the week.
Exactly. I mean, I love the trade for the Lakers. I give them an A. I give Dallas a D. I'm being honest. I don't love it for Dallas. I can't justify giving up Luka. I know he's overweight and out of shape. I know he doesn't take care of his body. But even with that, I'd watch him drink a beer and I'd be like, please let me give you the Supermax if I'm a GM.
Yeah. You saw the Ryan Russillo thing online? Yes. Like, he was like, you know, you could see him rolling, smoking a cig, and you would still give him the Supermax.
Bringing the ball up the court with a cig in his mouth. And it's like, please let me pay you.
Yeah.
That's how I feel. And I completely understand wanting to move on from him, being frustrated. But having Luka Doncic is so valuable. He just brought a team to the finals without playing defense, being out of shape, being injured. And I know that's not, the greatest look, but I don't care. Give me Luka. I'll build a good 3-and-D team around him. At a star, Luka brings in free agent destination. Or he makes it such a good destination for free agents. Anywhere. Like Dallas was a primetime spot for players. Kyrie was willing to go there. I love the Lakers offense now. Luka, Reeves, Rui, LeBron. If you can add a center, that's a big piece. Jackson Hayes is not playable.
Got Christian Wood. Like, those guys have only ever been bad. They've only been centers on bad teams.
Exactly.
Like,
but yeah, exactly. Like, these are like maybe backup guys. None of these guys are starting at the 5. So if you can add a guy like Claxton, Ayton, Rob Will, Miles Turner, obviously I don't know if they have the assets to get those guys.
Yeah, Claxton, I like that one.
Yeah, Claxton, like he can protect the paint,
Yeah.
throw some lobs down from Luka and LeBron. I think that's all you need. With guys like Reeves and Rui knocking down shots, you've got Dorian Finney-Smith off the bench, Jared Vanderbilt off the bench to play some defense, Dalton Connect to knock down some threes off the bench.
Yeah.
I really like it. The only thing I don't love is that defense is going to be rough, even if you do add a good center. Reeves, Rui, LeBron, and Luka. I mean, that's amazing offensively, but it's also horrible defensively.
Yeah, like they're going to be a very matchup dependent team when it comes to the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like if they get matched up against the Nuggets,
Right?
Jokic's going to cook.
Absolutely, he is.
I'm trying to think.
But at the same time, how are the Nuggets going to stop them? You do have to look at that.
Yeah.
Luka and LeBron in the same team. This is ridiculous. I was watching LeBron the other night before the trade. He was playing the Knicks, and he looked 30 years old. Like, he looked 30 years old. I was blown away. I'm like, dude, like, this guy's balling.
Yeah.
You pair him with Luka, with Reeves and Rui and DFS, Vanderbilt, like, Necht. I think it's solid if you get a good 5.
Yeah, they got like a very modern NBA team where they're just all long forwards and guards who can all shoot, besides like Jackson Hayes.
Exactly. He needs to go, or he needs to be on the bench.
Yeah, like
He's
just
not
a
a starting
rotation
center.
guy.
Yeah, exactly. I also don't understand why the Mavs didn't shop elsewhere. Like, Luka is a generational player, a generational trade asset. You have to get a haul for him. You got 1 first-round pick and a 31-year-old injury-prone player.
So I think I read the most reasonable answer to your question.
Okay.
And that's because they thought if they went and shopped Luka, that how many times have we heard about these NBA teams want to keep it a secret, and then all of a sudden something gets out? So they thought, they were like, hey, if we're gonna do this, we have to be really secretive and like nobody can know. Like, Jason Kidd didn't even know it was going on. So like that, because they ran the risk of if anything went sideways in that process when they were searching, like Luka could just be like, oh, I want out. I'm done.
You lose a lot of value. You lose a lot of leverage.
And then you lose your leverage. So, like, I think that's the reason they didn't do. Not saying it's the right answer, the right way to go about it, but that was the rationale, I think, behind it.
And Nico Harrison has a long, like, Nico Harrison, Clutch Sports, Rob Pelinka, LeBron, AD. These guys are all interlinked. Nico Harrison and AD have a great relationship, so all this kind of comes together. It makes a little bit of sense. It's great for the NBA, for Luka to go to the Lakers.
I also think, like, the Mavericks, too, they were looking at it like, hey, we're cashing in, when our chips are worth the most right now. Like, past, like, 3 seasons, we've been a 4 seed, the highest rated 4 seed, where, like, normally we're in the 6 to 8 playing range.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we barely, like, we made a little run with Jalen Brunson and Kristaps and Luka, and like now you're looking at that team a few years down the line here, and you're just like, damn, that team was nasty. I think they had Dorian Finney-Smith too.
They did.
Yeah, so like they actually had like a squad there, and they just were like barely a playoff team. So I think they were like, hey, you know what, like he's going crazy right now, but we don't think this is sustainable.
Yeah, kind of hit your max potential with it.
Yeah, so. Not saying it was right, but that's kind of their, like, hey, this was their way out of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I definitely understand that. I still disagree. I think you have to call Milwaukee about Giannis. I think you have to call Boston.
I've read something they called Milwaukee.
Okay.
I read a few places that they did call Milwaukee. Because how you couldn't, in your good
How do you not?
Like, when I hear them saying, like, oh, AD was our guy, 100%. Like, we knew that from the start. They probably had a list of 3 or 4 guys.
Yeah.
And then when they had the conversations with, like, the Bucks, I'm sure they were like, all right, this probably isn't happening.
Maybe the Celtics?
I just don't. I mean, even if the Celtics picked up the phone, they would have been like they just played them in the
I agree they
finals.
say no. I'm just like, do they say, like, can we get Tatum?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I mean, you have Luka Doncic. How do you not call about Tatum, Giannis?
I'm surprised.
Cade Cunningham, LaMelo Ball. Nah, not LaMelo Ball. How do you not call Orlando?
That's what I was gonna say. Like, I know OKC's got a ton of picks, but he doesn't really fit their like up tempo. Like,
he doesn't fit OKC.
Yeah, or like I feel like if you're the Magic, you're like, all right, we throw in Franz,
like
Suggs,
even
and then a few picks.
Even to call about Paolo.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, we're talking about Luka Doncic. Like, how do you not call Orlando, Boston? I mean, you probably don't want anything to do with Embiid. How do you not call Orlando, Boston, Milwaukee? And like you said, they probably did. How do you not call Houston and try and get a haul? How do you not?
Yeah, Houston, right? Like, they would have been able to, like...
Minnesota.
You could have called up Houston and be like, we want Sengun.
Right? Something.
Like, yeah.
Like Anthony Davis is 31 and he can't stay on the court. I know Anthony Davis is a special player. Maybe generational. He's 31. He hasn't been able to stay healthy. His only championship came with LeBron.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, if we're talking about Pelicans AD, this is a completely different story. That was a completely different player and asset.
They're trading too for the AD that doesn't shoot. Like, before the AD the Lakers got, he shot. And he made threes, and that's why they won the championship, because he could stretch the floor, where now he's just strictly he goes to the mid-range time to time, but like he's kind of turning into a traditional big man.
He was a generational young player who didn't turn into a generational player. You know? He's 31. He's never been able to stay on the court. I hate it. I hate it for Dallas, and I get it, but I hate it.
Yeah,
you know?
Like you saw Stephen A. said they I think they're the favorites. I don't know about that.
Dallas?
Yeah.
Hell no. I disagree. So I wholeheartedly disagree.
You see the Lakers championship odds shot up like higher than like the
I agree with that.
Mavericks,
I agree with that because you see the potential the Lakers have if they make a good center move, if they improve the defense. The offense is already probably top 3 in the NBA at this point. The Lakers.
This week, I forget what night it is. It might be tomorrow. Oh no. Maybe Thursday? Give me a second. Sometime in the next week or two, Dallas and the Lakers play each other.
Yes, it's very soon, unless they just did.
Yeah.
Like, unless they just did, like, yesterday or something. No, yeah, they play each other February 25th.
Yeah, so
pretty soon.
They play shortly, so that should be interesting. Celtics play the Mavs Thursday?
I think they do, yeah.
And I think AD will probably suit up for that one.
That's going to be fun.
So that is probably going to be a must-watch. Because this is the final. This is going to be a look at the team, the new team. Like, this is honestly a tough time to make this trade, because if this game goes badly, like, that whole fan base could just
turn on them.
Yeah.
Boo them. Anything. Because, I mean, you have Mavericks fans who woke up to that at, like, Mavericks fans under the age of, like, 18. These kids are heartbroken. Like, imagine we traded Tatum for AD.
Yeah.
That's heartbreaking. That's gut-wrenching to an entire franchise, an entire fan base, an entire city. I mean, now you have people calling Nico Harrison the worst GM in Dallas, and your competition is Jerry Jones.
I don't know. Like, think about... What makes me really, like, have second thoughts about this being a terrible trade is that they really would rather put faith in Kyrie Irving, who hasn't been able to probably string together... I mean, last year was good, but before that, he was the most unreliable guy in the NBA. He would find reasons to not be on the floor. He was a problem in the locker room. They put their eggs in Kyrie Irving and Anthony Davis, who gets injured most seasons. Like, they would rather put their bet on that than Luka.
They're both over 30.
Which, like, just makes me raise an eyebrow. So
Absolutely, but I mean, I think it makes me raise an eyebrow more at Nico Harrison, because if I'm the GM, I'm not letting that happen. I don't care. I'm working with Luka. I'm figuring it out. I'm dying on that hill. You know? You know, if this trade late, I think Luka's going to go dominate the NBA. Not win a ton of championships, but, I mean, he's in LA. The second LeBron's gone, or even before that, they're going to attract free agents. They're going to attract free agents. They have JJ Redick as the coach.
Like, would it be controversial to say that Luka will become the biggest star in the NBA in the next, like, 5 years?
No. I think he already may be.
Well, in the world, actually.
Yeah,
let's extend it to that because he's an international player.
Like, how do you give up on this dude? How do you get rid of this dude?
Like, I know Wemby's awesome and he's absolutely out of this world, but he's in San Antonio. Like, just the Lakers, like, that is like...
And Luka's proven it. Luka's been to a finals. But you bring him to LA, Lake Show.
Yeah.
I mean, this is Hollywood.
Yeah, it's literally like
he's
a
with
movie.
LeBron.
It's literally a movie.
Right? Like, come on. Like, if I'm Nico Harrison, I don't know. I can't do it. I can't defend it. Kyrie and AD are both over 30. And I know you said, like, it makes you raise an eyebrow. Like, Luka may be that, like that problematic. I look at the Mavericks and I'm like, what on earth? Unless Luka could turn into Kawhi. Luka absolutely could turn into Kawhi. It could be a mess for the Lakers and Luka. And Dallas could be like, hey, this guy was unworkable with.
Yeah, thank God we got rid of him when we did.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't think that's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And even if it does, what does AD do for you? I mean, come on, we're talking about Anthony Davis.
Yeah.
I'm not that intrigued. And you pair him with Kyrie Irving, 31 and 33 years old. They can't stay on the floor. Kyrie.
I mean, this duo would have been absolutely elite 5 years ago.
5 years ago.
Absolutely. This team would be all time.
Absolutely. But even 5 years ago, they both couldn't stay on the court.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I don't love it. I really don't love it. I'm an AD fan. I'm a Pelicans AD fan. I'm a 2020 AD fan. Ever since then, it's been uninspiring. I don't love it. But they are a solid team that's going to probably win a play-in game. Probably maybe win a playoff series. But I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm good on that.
Let's keep her rolling with the next trade that happened yesterday. This seemed like just like a penny compared to what the other trade was, but
it's a big trade though.
Yeah, De'Aaron Fox going to the Spurs, Zach LaVine going to the Bulls, and a few guys and picks going to the Bulls. So my question is, what is Sacramento doing?
Oh my God. Dude, what are we doing? What's the direction?
Do you want to be the Sacramento Bulls?
Right?
Like,
that's what they're trying to do. They got LaVine, DeRozan.
All they need is Vucevic.
I mean, they got Sabonis. It's better.
Guaranteed playing team. Like, what are we doing? Like, even is Fox a free agent this summer? Like,
no. Yes, he is. But he's an all-star. He's an all-NBA caliber player. He's the Spurs now have 2 top 20 players. They got Vassell, Keldon Johnson, Barnes, Chris Paul, Sohan, and most importantly, Stephon Castle. I mean, you want him to be your Holiday Derek White kind of player next to Fox and Wemby.
We also can't forget to mention that Sacramento got like 4 first-round picks or three first-round picks.
They got 3 first-round picks. One from Minnesota,
which won't be much.
One from San Antonio, which probably won't be much.
That would probably be like a mid-round.
But it's in a few years. It's like 2027.
Oh, so yeah, dude, they could be good at that point. So the only one that's going to be actually like valuable is
the Hornets one. But guess what?
Top 14 protected.
It's top 14 protected. It's going to be a top 5 pick.
Oh my gosh.
If it's not in the top 14, it turns into 2 second-round picks.
Yeah, Charlotte's going to be terrible. Like,
what are the Kings doing?
Yeah, so the only thing of value... Oh, no, that's the second round. So they're getting like a bunch of mid to late first-rounders.
And LaVine.
Yeah.
What? Fox must have been like, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
But man, you got to mess that up. They messed Fox up. That's an all-NBA point guard. The only weakness in his game is that he's not a deadly three-point shooter. He's not a deadly defender. Okay.
So he had 1 year left, Fox, but he wasn't going. He already, like, he told the Kings he wasn't going to sign an extension.
Yeah. But you got to mess that up, man, if you're Sacramento. They messed that up. What do you do with Levine? What's his value? He's a good player who can't stay on the court.
Yeah, and good player on a bad or middling team.
Right.
Like, just average. Like,
we've seen the DeRozan and Levine combo. It's fine. They can't stay on the court.
Levine would be an elite, catch and shoot wing forward that.
But for what he's getting paid,
yeah,
he can't stay on the floor.
Like, he'd be a good, like, fourth or fifth guy in the lineup, not like a first or second.
Exactly. And with that, he's not a great defender. He can't stay on the court.
Yeah.
He can't stay on the court. That's what I'm thinking. How do you mess this Fox situation up that bad? Because to me, Fox is like a Brunson. Like, this is a guy who can lead your offense. With Wemby, oh my God. Like,
and I think the Spurs are getting away with a little bit of robbery here.
Yes.
The only thing they really gave up was 2 picks and Trey Jones, who's like backup point guard.
Right.
On most teams. So,
if even.
Yeah. So, they got to keep Keldon Johnson, Devin Vassell, like you said. They didn't have to get rid of Stephon Castle. They didn't have to. So they still have that whole core, and they're gonna build with Fox and also compete right now.
Exactly. And my thing is that Fox was never at fault for any of the lack of success in Sacramento. Fox and Wemby are a way better combo than Fox and Sabonis because Wemby's an elite defender who can mitigate Fox's lack of elite defense. Whereas Sabonis, he's kind of a defensive liability. Like, at the most important position defensively, you need a good 5.
He is a beast on the boards and stuff, but he's just a little undersized.
Exactly. And you put him in Fox, that's a defensive liability. It's a 3-point liability, too. Wemby could step out there.
Yeah.
So it's going to mitigate their lack of 3-point shots. Wemby and Fox, like, that pick and roll, man, that's going to be deadly. And you got a guy like Castle who, if he can improve the shot, that's going to be insane.
Yeah.
You got value with guys like Vassell and Chris Paul, Sohan, Keldon Johnson, Barnes.
Yeah, and I know they were trying to make Sohan like a ball handler, and it hasn't really worked out. He's more of a wing body.
Yeah.
So I think they'll probably put him back more as catch and shoot wing player, where Fox is gonna initiate the offense and kind of be that steady cog for a young team that needs. And they have a whole bunch of good role players, so I think that's a team that they could. Let's see with the standings right now.
They could win a series.
Let's see
with the right matchup.
Right now, they are two games back of the plan.
I think
behind the Kings.
They'll get in. They are going to need a few wins.
Yeah. So.
But the Kings project to drop down a little bit or stay the same, not go up.
Yeah.
The Mavericks
are just one game above the Kings.
Yeah.
You see right now, I don't know. Luka was injured a ton this year, but this is normally where Dallas has been the past few seasons. Exactly. And I don't think they like that.
No, they can't. Honestly, overall, I like this trade for San Antonio. For the future, for now, I think they can win a playoff series now. They're not a true contender yet. But in 2-3 years, you got a developed Castle with a jumper. You got Fox. You got Wemby. I don't know if you still have Vassell. I don't know if you still have Keldon Johnson and these guys. Johnson. Yeah. There's value in that. You still got draft picks. You still got money. They're going to be good in 2 to 3 years. I think Fox and Wemby with Castle and a bunch of 3-and-D guys, the bench guy, that's a championship team in a few years.
Yeah.
Because Wemby automatically anchors a great defense. Fox and Wemby, that offense is immediately good. Can you imagine when Castle is a jumper?
Yeah. And he's gonna be nasty.
He's gonna mitigate Fox as a defender. He's gonna pick up that number 1 scoring option on defense.
They're gonna have all these guys who are 6. The smallest guy in the court's gonna be 6'3".
Yep, and that's gonna be Fox, and Castle's 6'6".
Yeah.
He's gonna be kind of like their Derek White.
Yeah.
So I like it.
So I got a question for you before we wrap this up.
Yes.
Who do you think is next to get traded? In the league, besides Jimmy Butler, obviously.
I think KD to the Rockets is something we have to watch out for because
Beal
makes it hard. I think if you get Jimmy Butler for Beal, that's great for Phoenix, but it's looking tough. So what do you do now? Booker and KD really aren't going to do anything for you if you don't have Jimmy Butler or something like that. I think the Rockets could give up Jalen Green maybe someone else, or maybe Jabari Smith and somebody else.
Okay.
to go all in, maybe make a run at the West for this year and next year, maybe. I think Kevin Durant's a guy to watch out for.
Yeah.
I think
I'd say, let's see, looking up and down the list.
the Timberwolves, could they make a move? Randall?
Maybe, but yeah, because I don't know how much interest they have in really bringing him back.
Yeah, right? Why would you do that?
Yeah.
Got to find another free agent.
Sabonis, maybe? Vucevic? Like, there's a plethora of, like, centers available.
Could Vucevic go to the Lakers? I know that's not a great defensive fit.
No, I don't think they can make the money work.
Yeah, I don't either, honestly.
But looking at those guys, like, if you're Oklahoma City, go get Sabonis.
Right?
Like, that is the guy to play in Oklahoma City. Like, I feel like he fits their style of play. Ball doesn't stick in his hands too much. He's all over the boards, absolute beast.
Might have to give up Hartenstein, but okay. It's worth it. Sabonis is a better one.
Whatever you got to do. I mean, think about it. You could run Chet at the center, Sabonis, J-Dub, whoever they want to throw on the wing, Caruso. Or
Wiggins or Dort or
yeah.
Wallace. They have everybody.
And then Shea. Like, I don't know how, if they can make that work with the money, I don't know how, but
make a move.
That might be the deal to be had. Like, if I had to say one.
I mean,
obviously Vucevic would be nice for him, but Sabonis, that is the guy the Thunder could use.
Elite playmaker, elite rebounder. That's what they need.
Yeah. I mean, maybe the Kings are going to be like, hey, we should try to win with these guys, but they should see the writing on the wall and get him out of there.
Please, Sacramento. What are you doing? Don't mess it up more than you already have. Go get value for DeRozan. Go get value for Levine. Go get value for Sabonis and restart.
I mean, I've never seen a guy who never gets talked about, who puts up like 20 rebounds a night at least once a week. Like,
right? 10 assists.
Yeah, like guys
15 points.
Yeah, it's like sometimes put up 10 points, 15 rebounds, 10 assists. You're like, what?
Okay.
So
he's a better Isaiah Hartenstein. Like, that's... Come on, OKC. Does Brandon Ingram get moved? No.
I don't see anybody taking the bait on that.
Do you think the Nuggets do
Warriors? You think the Warriors can make a move for anyone? Like get Steph someone, or maybe they're like, you know what, Steph, like we'll send you somewhere.
I don't know what to say about the Warriors at this point. I think Brandon Ingram could go there. They're calling everybody for All-Stars apparently.
Like
I saw they were Butler.
I saw they were in talks with like Zion.
Like, come on, what are you doing? Zion can't play.
Like
the Warriors, I feel like it's too late. I feel like it's a little bit too late.
Yeah. Cut your losses, move on from Curry.
Right? Come on, do something. How about the Eastern Conference? Do you see anything happening there? Do you think the Magic could make a move to be legit?
I don't see the Magic making a move just because Franz hasn't been playing. I think when he was playing, they were playing like one of the best teams in the league. So I think they're going to be patient. They're young enough where I think they can wait that out. Almost like Charlotte. Like, I feel like Charlotte right now, even though they're not winning games, like, I wouldn't be super concerned in the fact that, like, who was it last year? Detroit. Like, that's a team I look at, like, Detroit a little bit. Like, just give them a year. Like, let them figure it out.
Yes.
Like, Brandon Miller. I mean, obviously, like, Miles Bridges isn't great, but, like, obviously, like, let LaMelo, give him another year, and then if you're in the same spot next year, start firing guys away.
I agree. Another question I have: the Raptors, the Nets, do they offload these vets or not? Cam Johnson on Brooklyn. The Raptors have guys like Scotty Barnes. I don't think you get rid of him right now. Kelly Olynyk.
I don't see Brooklyn getting rid of Cam Thomas just because they don't really have their own picks in the future. They have the Rockets picks.
That's true.
So.
That's true.
Or no, they don't have the Rockets, but you know what I mean.
Real quick, let's just go through these two conferences real quick and say who could come out. The East, I have the Cavs, Celtics, and Knicks. I don't feel comfortable putting the Bucks in there, unless they make a move. Like,
Bucks is a fringe.
If the Bucks can move on from Middleton and upgrade there, maybe do something else. Yeah, sure. But right now, no. If they get a Jimmy Butler or Brandon Ingram, someone like that, which is probably not going to happen, sure.
Yeah.
I don't think the Magic are there yet. I don't think that's this year.
Yeah.
But in the future, yes. The West, what do you think about that? Like Cavs, Celtics, Knicks? Do you throw anybody else in there?
I agree with you.
Pacers?
I
don't think so.
Yeah, even though they were in there last year, like I just don't.
I
Everything kind of went right.
think it's a bit more of a future operation.
I'd be scared to take on Orlando and Detroit in a playoff series, though. Like fully healthy.
I love Cade, but I don't think it's this year.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be scared, even if I'm like Indiana, Milwaukee, New York. I'm not worried.
Detroit just plays they're kind of like a tough physical team, and they shoot the ball well. I think like they're just like a grind it. Like it's gonna be limited.
Exactly. Yeah, you're right.
And then the West, I'd probably say OKC's got to be one.
I agree.
And then after that, there's like a slew of teams that
Grizzlies, Nuggets, Lakers. Anybody else? I can't throw the Rockets in there unless they make a move. If they make a move, sure. They haven't made a move. They haven't made a Kevin Durant, Jimmy Butler move. Anything like that. I don't believe in James
I gotta
Green.
see it. I gotta see it first, but I think I gotta say you can't count Dallas, I'd say.
Really?
Yeah.
I can't put them with them, but I have Dallas with like Houston. If Houston makes a move, I don't know. I'm going Thunder, Grizzlies, Nuggets, Lakers. No order. Those are my 4 teams out of the West. I think the Timberwolves and the Rockets could make a move in there.
Yeah, and I don't think the Suns are doing anything.
No, unless they got Jimmy Butler. Which, if they did, sure, but they're not going to Jimmy Butler.
Who do you think's getting Cooper Flag? Or where would the league want him to go?
If he ended up in New Orleans, I think they have so much value. But that organization is so cooked. But they have so much value.
I think the
Hornets?
I think the perfect spot for him would be Utah.
Utah,
Jazz.
really?
Yeah, I think like the
Will
Jazz.
Hardy?
Yeah, Will Hardy. I think he'd just be the perfect star for like a Utah market. Like he's like not like a typical NBA player. You know what I mean? He's coming in like 1 year college, boom. Like he's like, I don't know. He's the perfect person for Utah. I think.
Really?
Just like yeah, I think.
I mean,
I think he would be a hit in the town. Like he'd be the only thing going on there. Like yeah, they got the hockey team, but I think like they'd be like marketing and Flag, like let's run it.
Right? And
like,
even if you flip marketing for something.
Yeah.
You got a lot of pieces there. I like it.
Alright, I think we gotta
I think it's about time, but any final words? I think I'm all set. Jimmy Butler, Brandon Ingram, Kevin Durant, I think those are not that Ingram's gonna get moved, but I think Sabonis, I think those are guys that can be part of a league changing move.
Trade deadline's Thursday, so we'll find out.
Yeah,
this
absolutely.
week.
So we'll see. We'll be back for a Super Bowl recap, trade deadline recap, rest of the season NBA preview. Shout out Merrimack Hoops as well. But yeah, I think that's about it. So thank you everybody for listening.
Have a good one. We'll see ya.
Peace.
Yo, you see Quinnipiac lost?
No.
Yeah, yesterday. Siena.
Oh yeah, you told me that. Okay, bet.
So
Word.
we made a game up in the